formed in America's financial architecture during the War of 1812, and those mistakes went uncorrected. Instead of healing the system, these minor flaws would be magnified, turning fractures into fault lines. The crisis did not begin in America, it began in Britain, but as those cracks continued to go unseen, Congress moved to protect the nation, laying the foundations of what would later be called the American system. The vision was national self-sufficiency. Northern industry would manufacture tools and finished goods for southern plantations, while the agricultural South supplied raw materials like cotton, tobacco, and foodstuffs that sustained northern manufacturers and processors. It was meant to be a symbiotic, interdependent network, reducing reliance on foreign imports. Yet a system can only function if it has the leverage to defend itself, and without the financial capacity or the institutional strength of a capable army and navy, it lacked the leverage needed to endure. After the war, British industry was drowning in overproduction. Wartime disruptions and embargoes had choked off markets. Warehouses were full. So Britain sought to kill two birds with one stone: offload its surplus, bring much-needed cash back home, and flood the American market with cheap manufactured goods, often sold below cost. The goal, as one British minister openly admitted, was to stifle the cradle of American industry. The United States had learned during wartime that it needed domestic manufacturing. Now Britain was determined to destroy it. Congress responded with the Tariff of 1816. Essential goods were subjected to duties of 20 to 30%. Tools, textiles, household goods, and consumer staples, deliberately pricing British imports out of the American market. At the time, the South was strong, financially and constitutionally, and largely unified. The tariff was accepted as a practical, defensive measure, but the burden soon became unsustainable. As the post-war cotton boom began to slow, prices fell. Southern revenues declined just as costs rose. Southern plantations, heavily dependent on imported manufactured goods and foreign trade, now faced higher prices on everyday essentials necessary to run their business. Britain, meanwhile, had experience that gave it options America lacked. It sought strategic alternatives to avoid dependence on American cotton, turning to Indian supplies rather than relying on a former enemy. Demand for US exports weakened, revenues fell further, and resentment between North and South deepened, planting seeds that would later bear far more destructive consequences.